Hey everybody, Brian Savage here, and welcome to Arnold Jeans Point. This is the first video, and we're not actually out on the point. And this video, I just want to kind of talk to you about the channel. I had mentioned on my channel, Brian Savage, that I was going to start a new channel, and this is what it is. And Arnold Jean was my best friend in the world, Will, his father, and he was like a second dad to me. He, like my father, was one man I could always say that if there was ever any questions I had about which was the right thing to do, I know that they were going to give me the right advice. And there wasn't many people like that in my life growing up, as many of you are the same way, but my father and Arnold Jean very, very much so shaped the man that I am. You know, someone I always looked up to. And we lost Arnold a couple years back, and my best friend Will, he still lives on the property he grew up on, and there's a ridge point that has always been a place that us kids always like to go to and camp out. And it's a nice little area on the property, and we're going to do some stuff out there on that point. And one of the things we're going to do out there on the ridge point is we're going to build a firing range. And one of the reasons we want to do that is Arnold was a very avid hunter. He was an avid shooter. He was a gun rights enthusiast, an NRA member, and want to kind of celebrate those kind of things. And that's why I'm naming this channel Arnold Jeans Point. So that give you a little insight into that. Again, as I mentioned, this is a channel I want to do some things like I'm going to have a lot of firearms on this channel, as I had mentioned on my video, if that's what drove you over here. I was going on a trip to Lexington, and I was really contemplating. I had thought about it for a long time, and 2 hours in the car with nothing to do but think about things. You get to put things into perspective, and I really did. And so anyway, that's what this is all about. It is a channel that I feel like I can do the non-music related things. I feel like that the goal that I set for my other channel was to do music related things, and I've kind of strayed away from that. Haven't been putting out as much content doing it, and I've done up and worked over 20 probably guitars that people's brought and said, can you restring this and that? And I don't make any money at it or anything. I don't charge people for this because I got to do it on my time schedule. I'm not always able physically to do it. But so I want to get more towards that stuff on the Brian Savage channel. And I want to use this channel to do more of the other things that I'm into, the outdoors type things. Those things is what I'm looking for. But to give you a little insight on the little trip down to Bud's Gun Shop, and I know this is weird for me, no sleeves on, you're going to say redneck, but that was the way Arnold was. He wasn't a man that really ever wore sleeves or wore a shirt half the time if he could get by without doing it. People of a different time and a different age, I guess. But on the way down to Bud's, I'd mentioned I was going down to get a gun, and this is what I got. This is the Ruger Mark IV Tactical. Just so that you know, show it clear. There's no magazine. The gun is clear. And it comes already pre-threaded, 1/2x28. Which was one of the big reasons I got it. And this is a firearm that I have loved my entire life, the Mark Series Rugers. The first semi-automatic pistol I ever shot in my life was a Ruger Mark Series. This was in the 80s, so I guess it would have been a Mark II, I think. I don't know when the Mark IIIs came out. But I always loved the gun, and I know many people that's owned the gun. Yeah, Mark IIs, Mark IIIs, even some old Mark Is. Those are sweet shooting guns as well. But they have one big flaw, and that was the disassembly and reassembly process was a pain in the butt, to say the least. So I never purchased one. I've had many others. I think I had a Browning Buck that was probably my favorite, other than the Ruger Mark series, and it wasn't all that easy to take apart either, but it wasn't as bad. But with the new Mark IV series, if you guys know anything about them, if you're into guns, you know they now just have a button right here underneath the charging handle. You push that button in, bolt comes out. It's that simple. And with 22 ammunition and 22 semi-automatics, it's important that you can clean them like that. Now, with that being said, I'm over 1,000 rounds into this firearm. I've yet to clean it. I've yet to run a brush down the barrel, anything. I purchased it at Bud's. I went and shot about 40, 50 rounds. It was 40 rounds. I shot, 10 round clips. I shot 4 of them. Gun operated fine. Out the door I went, drove home. Went home a couple days later, went to a friend of mine's. It has a little pistol range, and we shot this thing, and just, I fell in love with it. He fell in love with it, his wife, his daughter. We all just were, in love with it. Now, I did put I know this is an AR style sight, but it's red, green, it's Firefield, something or another. I got it a while back at the local sports shop. It's not a real expensive optic, but it does the trick when you're hitting steel plates. I mean, we're hitting, groups like this at probably 25 yards. So, when you're plinking fast, I'm fine with that. And this was getting it done. So, I will eventually, I want to take out the sight here and take off this sight here, and get a regular, I say regular, pistol optic like this for it. But I've only had one malfunction, and I know it wasn't the gun's fault. I know the firearm functioned properly. It was a very light load. You could hear it. It fell short of the steel, and you could hear it. It just had hardly any, and it didn't cycle the bolt. So I'm not going to blame that on the firearm. That was definitely the ammunition. 1 out of over 1,000 rounds. I mean, I've never had that kind of success rate with a Ruger or any other 22 semi-automatic that I've ever owned in my entire life, if I put that many rounds through it. Now, this, I was using CCI. I was using CCI Subsonics for 100 rounds of CCI Subsonic. I ran through it. That was the first ammunition I ran through. It's what I purchased at Bud's. I know it's a little lighter load. I want this for a suppression platform. I wanted to run a lighter load in it to just see how, if it would cycle brand new out of the box, stiff as it's going to be. Let's get some light loads, and I got the Subsonics, and it functioned amazing. Anyway, enough about this. I'll have more of this in another video. We'll go into detail on it, and we'll go be out at the point, and we'll be shooting it along with other firearms that I have. And again, that's going to be the goal of this channel, is those type of things. Now, I'm not really much of a hunter myself, just because I'm skinny and I hate cold weather, and where I live, if you're a hunter, you hunt in cold weather, and chicken walk of the weather. I hate it. I hate being cold. Anyway, but there's going to be plenty of shooting on the channel. I'm going to have guests on the channel. Will be part of the channel. He'll be a frequent guest, as will his children, and they like to shoot as well, as will some of my children, I'm sure. That's something that I really want to advocate on this channel. Arnold was very much into getting kids like myself, his son and his grandchildren and the neighborhood kids, and you know, he always encouraged us to go out and shoot safely and all those kind of things. So that's another thing I want to do with this channel, is I want to show that. I want to show this is how you keep the gun culture alive. This is why it's in me and why I vote pro-gun, and I'm an NRA member, and I do believe that, you know, we need to work harder to keep the guns out of criminals' hands, but we don't need to work harder to keep the guns out of legal law-abiding citizens. And if you go through a check and prove to the government you're a legal law-abiding citizen, you should be able to own what you want. So, but anyway, there'll be stuff like that on this channel as well, guys. There'll be some opinionated stuff that I usually don't put out. So anyway, till then, remember, let's keep gun culture alive. You do that by showing the generation below you the proper way and the fun that shooting can be, as long as you keep it safe. So keep shooting, keep it safe, guys. Thanks.